teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling my plans. Make me whole again, rebuild me from the inside out, in a way only you know how. You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone, unraveling my plans. Make me whole again, rebuild me from the inside out, in a way only you know how. I need a revival, something more than this shallow survival.
Last week, the first time I mentioned you guys uh, the Adam's prayer of Adam. And I've been finding it to be a very, very helpful, at least for me, to calm my mind, to clear my mind, and to gain clarity in general, like on a daily basis. So that is like the upgraded prayer of presence that we talked about. So if you remember, when I talked about the prayer of presence, the idea was clear your mind, clear distractions, put everything aside, and just be focused on you being present here and on God being present here as well. Now, the expansion, the whole concept of Adam's prayer is the idea when God created Adam. Adam is literally, and all of us are two components. One is elements of the earth, and the other one is the breath of God. And what you find in Christianity that you don't find in the Bible, and you find this in Christianity a lot, mostly because of Augustine and some other like early Christian writers, you find duality of a soul in Christian teachings. So the spirit is good, but the body is bad. And you should focus on the spirit more in your life because you're already here in your body, so you shouldn't put that as much attention to your body. But you don't find it in the Bible. You don't find the concept where what is from God is good and what is from earth is bad. No. What you find, the only thing that Jesus says about it is that the spirit is strong, but the body is weak. And he talks actually about using your spirit to yoke your body. That is the idea over there. So the whole concept of this Adam's prayer of presence is you embracing both your spirit and your body on the same level, with the same love, with the same desire, with the same care. And frankly, dismiss that concept that you hear like in Christianity. Unless you can prove it to me from the Bible, I'm welcome to kind of talk about it, but no, body is not bad. And the sin affects both your spirit and the body in the same level. But it's more kind of noticed in our bodies, so that's why the Christian writers, oh, body is bad. No, it's not. You need to be aware. When I say be present, be aware of your presence, let's really try to be aware of every single part of your body. And try to feel as part of this planet. Try to feel the planet, try to feel gravity dragging you down and digging you in. Like try to feel that. Now, as you're sitting on your chair, do you feel the gravity? Do you feel that like you're just dragged down? And then at the same time, I can feel it myself. I don't know if you guys can experience this as well. Like when I reach out, when I'm present in my body, and I'm now thinking about the presence of God, who is right here. It's always kind of like right here for me, like right there. I feel being pulled up. It's kind of weird sensation, but I really feel like it starts over here. It kind of makes me stand straight when I start feeling it, and I just feel like every single piece of me is being pulled up. And it's like this. It's not a tension. It's kind of like these two connections hold me in place and really help me be present. So that's why I'm calling it the Adam's prayer of presence, where you're at the same time aware of who you are here and who you are there. You're at the same time aware of your body that belongs to this earth and your spirit that belongs to God. And I think I told you that, like the breath of God, the concept of Ruach, the breath of God that is mentioned, that's not the Holy Spirit. That's something completely different. It's named different. The breath of God is like the way the Jews see it is the wind, That is another translation, wind. It's just a force. It's just a force of life that is present in all of us, that all of us kind of share in a way. So let's try to do that. Let's take a minute and feel the gravity that is pulling you down to the earth where you come from, and feel the Spirit of God pulling you up to where He is, and just be focused on your presence, be focused on His presence. Don't pray, don't say a word, just enjoying the fact that you are right here in His presence. Okay, let's take a minute. Dear Father, right now we ask for your Spirit to help us be present, to help us be engaged, and to help us to connect to you through the words from the Bible that we're going to read today and analyze and try to find answers for our life. Amen. All right, cool. So this is what we're going to start with. For example, you don't play lottery, I would think so, but even if you do, nobody cares. You're at your work, and you have like that social afternoon or whatever, and there's a raffle, and you get the first prize. And the first prize is you get $1,000 in cash. But this is the deal. You can keep 500 as long as you give 500 away. So,
wait, so you don't actually get $1,000?
huh?
So you don't actually get $1,000?
You get, no, well,
I'll give 500 to my husband.
okay. Who else would you give that other 500 to?
What do you mean? My dog?
Hmm?
My dog?
Your dog?
I'm trying to steal ours.
He will have a blast with it. No, like-
Mortgage company, here you go. Yeah, Give it away. It's brand new.
Okay, what else would you do with those 500 that you have to give away? So, no questions asked.
Anybody? I still give it away. I got $500.
Hmm?
I still give it away. I still have $500.
That's okay. I'm just asking, yeah.
Does it have to go to the same person? I mean, like, split.
No questions asked. You keep 500, and these 500 you give away, and you give some to this church. Okay. Here's $5 for you guys. Like,
No, I give at least 10.
at least 10. With the inflation rate. Then by the time we deposit it, it's going to be. Okay, come on. I want you to kind of put yourself in that situation. Imagine you're at work and woo, get the first prize, and this is the deal. So, and they ask you, who are you going to give this 500 to?
I probably would give it mostly to this church.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't given anything I've been wanting to.
Okay. Okay.
If that's a guilt or not.
What about Daniel?
Well, no, because, like, that's not really giving. I mean, if they let me do that, I'd be like, well, I guess. Like a Christmas gift.
No, you can give it to whoever you want.
I know. I'd give it to my friend Viñeta. She's pregnant. She's gonna have a baby, and I don't think she's not gonna be going back to work. So it'd be like a nice little gift to like for her baby and her things.
I love that.
That's good.
Thank you.
She could use that one.
Mhm.
That baby's gonna be so cute.
What else crosses your mind? Huh?
Why do I have to give it away?
So again,
Why do I have to give it away?
because that's the rule of the game.
You get 500 to give 500.
I would give it. No, you go ahead. I was gonna say I gave it to my mom.
Give it to your mom.
Same.
What did you say?
She said same.
Oh, you said same. Okay.
There's anyone who deserves that money, it's her. Nice sweet mom. Oh my gosh.
Now, when you think about this concept of benevolence, you know, you got it for nothing. Like you didn't earn it, you didn't deserve it, it just fell in your lap.
I earned it, I won. I technically earned it. There could have been, there's 100 other
You're
people.
really trying to find the loopholes to keep the whole grant, aren't you?
You gotta hustle.
But it's kind of cute. Well, the first thing that crossed your guys' mind is
Any loopholes to do exactly the same thing that Sean has been trying to find reasons to.
I did it. I give it to my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my husband, my dog, you know, mom, your mom, yeah.
I always think about things like that, so I'd like sit on it. I'd be like, I'm not sure. Like I have some maybe ideas. Like I thought of the church first. But I was like, I'd probably maybe like pray. Like, oh, there's a kitty.
Where?
Just straight across, right there. He's scratching. Scratching. Okay, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
We're all looking. We're all like.
He was so cute.
Middle of a sentence, pity.
He's on the wall. He's on the wall. He's blending in with the bushes. But I'd be like, I'd want to like pray like God, if there's someone you think like really needs it, I'm not really aware of, maybe make it known that. Because maybe there is someone in my life who I'm not really sure how they're struggling.
okay. No.
You were tempted to figure out a way to keep that other 500 as well, right? Comes naturally. All of us could use a grant, you know? Why not? Especially if there is no questions asked. So the aspect of benevolence always starts initially with me. And then, you okay? Whew. Oh, God punished you. You know. The essence of benevolence always starts with me. The problem is when it ends with me. So, the benevolence starts with the thought, I need it, but I'll give it away. I'll find a way to give it away to somebody else because they need it as well.
When we would do the communion, that's actually something that really helped me out with laying my selfishness down. I would actually try and look for someone that I felt like I had a problem with, I was angry with, I was in a disagreement with, and I would search them out and be like, can I wash your feet? Because this is going to be the thing that hurts me the most. And I realize now that I've been out of practice, I also don't think I would do that nowadays, just because I'm also really grossed out by feet. I'd wash their calves.
Let me do your cat right now.
But like, yeah, so I'm just kind of like, that's, I don't know, it's just thinking like that is the one thing that practice that helped me get over my own selfishness.
One thing that we should do is like alter communion services for millennials. So instead of using the basins and water, just use the water hose. Like, yeah, that's it. and then use a hair dryer, you know. So like, that was COVID communion, you know.
I accidentally sprayed you. Pardon me. Or we could just put on some gloves.
Or we can hire somebody. I'll give you $5. Get kids from the children's church.
I do the gloves, like the elbow length gloves.
I did get some elbow length gloves.
Mask in here.
Yes.
Do not want that spraying
Hazmat
on
suit.
Behind a shield. Just
I
walk.
listen. As a therapist, I've seen Sophie, and I'm getting so over it.
But back to
Topic. Back to the idea. So the being benevolent, being giving, helps our humbleness. No, it does empower us at the same time, where I have the power to make your life different, actually to improve your life. It makes you feel like, whoa, you know. But at the same time, it humbles you, because if you ever had to give a large sum of money away, not by sliding a card, but actually kind of handing it over, you can literally feel a physical pain as that money is leaving your hand. I kid you not. Nevertheless, the first thing that crosses your mind is, well, I need it. Now, the reason why I start with this discussion is because as we continue with chapter 5 is very peculiar. So last week, if you guys remember what we discussed, last week we discussed this idea of, so Solomon tries to tell you, you are listening to God the wrong way, and you're talking to God the wrong way. Unless you change the ways you listen to God and you talk to Him, you're a fool, and you're bringing a sacrifice of an idiot before God. And then he continues this topic, and when you read, by the way, did you guys read the rest of the chapter 5? No, I've read it. You guys suck. So, you did? Thank you. All right. Oh, one more. What part of did you read and signaling with my hand up did not kind of indicate that I wanted you to raise your hand if you read it?
I didn't read this, but I read other parts of the Bible.
Okay, I apologize. Yeah, Patty was like cup in one hand, pastry in the other, and nothing else to raise. Yeah. Like. Huh?
But in an interesting context. It seems
Kind of repetitive, because we had this discussion that he talks about over here 3 weeks ago, when he was talking about, I think in the chapter 2. So it seems like repetitive, like maybe he's just senile, repeating himself, but no, it's much smarter than that. He's talking about wealth and greed in the context of listening and talking to God. Last week, we had this whole idea of how do you approach God. And then the rest of chapter 5 is supposed to be a reflection of how would you act in a horizontal world if you approached God appropriately in the vertical world. That is what we're going to be talking about today. Technically, today is supposed to be like a test for you to know if you are listening and talking to God appropriately. Because if this doesn't resonate, then the previous part shouldn't resonate as well. So let's start with first set of verses, and that is from chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. Who would be so kind to read those verses? Yeah, hit it. So, the horizontal system. I want us to analyze first the horizontal system and how we are supposed to align to it. So, somebody please read verses 8 and 9. Loud.
Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profit.
Thank you very much. This is the NLT translation.
Yes.
Because I read it
this week as well as I was going through this. Let me read English Standard Version. That was not that was not bashing your Bible. If you see a province of the if you see in a province the oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and righteousness, don't be amazed at the matter, for a high official is watched by a higher, and there are yet higher ones over them. But this is the gain for the land in every way, a king committed to cultivated fields. Now, when was the last time you saw this in your world? What was just described over here? Hmm? You see it all the time happening. Okay, give me some examples.
For example, I was recently hearing that there's some, like, you know, when weed became legalized, they were going to say that a lot of the profits from the weed were going to go to all these schools and was supposed to help, like, the schools a lot. And a lot of the money did go to certain schools, but there was a lot of schools that didn't get the amount of money that was supposedly promised and supposed to be delivered. So it's kind of like, why is that not happening? Why are these things that they said were going to be, you know, from the higher ups and the people in power, why is it not actually coming all the way down and affecting the people that really do need it?
Okay, that is a good question.
For me, the simplest example is taxation. When I have to pay my taxes, you robbers and thieves.
But that's exactly the point, that it's like you have to know how to use the system. The system isn't serving the common person. It's like you have to learn the ways of the elite to get away with it. That's kind of the point that they're making. Well, right, but not everybody knows that, so that's not fair or equal.
Thank you very much. This is a good discussion we're getting. Now, let's elaborate a little bit on what Philip said. You have to know how to ride the system.
You have to know how to crack it, so more money stays to you and less money goes up there.
It's the same thing in Animal Kingdom. The weak die and get eaten, and this is similar to that, but just in a different context.
Again, I guess kind of, in a
Way, yeah, the animal kingdom is, there is definitely no righteousness and justice in it. You're either a prey or you are a hunter. Or a predator. There is no things in between. We're not animals, but yet.
Yeah, we have an innate instinct sometimes in us, but we're not animals.
the problem that we have is that we are conscious and aware that we are not animals, but very often we act by our animalistic instincts in the world we live in, which makes us worse.
Well, I was thinking, like, I add everything together. Of course, they're going to keep knowledge down, and they're going to, discriminate against certain schools to make sure that people don't know or get any better education, so that then there won't be any people who can figure out the system. And even if we have a huge source of information like the internet, we have so much misinformation and people so overwhelmed by it that they don't know where to even start.
Exactly. So we live in a world that is
Unjust from the very get-go. It's not even about the way you are treated, but the way you are being told the system functions.
But for me, it's like, why do you guys want it to be fair, and why do you think it's going to be fair? Because it's like, it's not. This is generations of generations. Like, I mean, for example, you go to all the poor neighborhoods. There's liquor stores. There's laundromats, and then there's Planned Parenthood. Why do people put the Planned Parenthood in, for example, in areas that have less income? You know, everything's done on a purpose. So it's not like just thrown out there. It's done for a reason. So yeah, I was in a poor neighborhood. You can find yourself a way to get out of it, because you can't save everybody.
one thing that we fail to realize.
We think that we make choices in our life. We fail to realize that in most instances, if you're part of a society, you're being grown. You don't grow, you're being grown. You're being groomed, you're being conditioned to become a certain part of society, which makes this society so highly violating in a sense where at least before people knew that they had no free will. And if you wanted to exercise free will, you would be a rebel, you would be a criminal, you would, you know, Robin Hood or whatever, you know. And now we actually believe we make our choices, even though our choices are highly predictable, to the point that people think that Google is listening to them because of the way they kind of serve the ads to them. Google is not listening to you. Google just knows you much better than you know yourself. Yeah. Now, in that context, Solomon says an interesting thing. He says, don't be amazed. Don't be, not alarmed. He says, just kind of, don't let it shock you. And as you said it, like if this is generations and generations and centuries and millennia of a system treating us this way and acting this way towards us. And then Solomon says, don't be shocked. This is the way the things are. This is simply a price of living a life as a part of society on this planet. Excuse me.
Is that little gravy bird kind of a baton?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, I was thinking how to kind of describe what Solomon is talking about, and the baton made sense. Once I was hit with that baton, that thing hurts. The extendable ones, the ones that snap out, they're made of steel, usually. These are usually going to be made of rubber. And the thinner part on them is kind of flexible. So when it smacks you, it's going to wrap around. Whew. Whew. You get hit by that like you remember it. And again, the whole point of baton is he describes this as something that has been happening literally 3,000 years ago, and we see it today as well. So the system does not change. You can't break the system. You can't evade the system unless you go live in the woods by yourself. The only thing that you can really do is, as Philip said, you can ride the system, or another thing that Jesus did is you can lift yourself above the system. The price of that, you end up like Jesus, crucified. So, but first, let's talk about the system. So, the system is inevitable. The injustice is inevitable. The abuse of power is inevitable. Like, we can do things to fight against it. We can maybe even leverage, like this whole building and all of these guys, all of the tenants, everybody who is part of this Posner group, everybody literally devoted their lives to leverage on the other side, to help the powerless. And that, I mean, we have the same idea, you know. Everything that we do in attempts to help people to see that that's not the way things have to be. But the point that Solomon is making over here is this. This is the world. It is what it is. Don't be shocked by it. Now, how do you tie this statement into the fact that he was just saying, like a sentence before that, he was saying, you have to listen to God attentively, and you have to speak to him very little. You have to more hear what he has to say than tell him what he has to do. And then he describes this. How do you guys connect these things? Do you see a connection between call to listen to God more and raising awareness of how this world looks like?
I think yes, because I feel like once you kind of know how this world looks like and how it is, like, you know how they say, like, once you know the problem, you can start addressing the problem. But if you're never aware of it, like how are you ever gonna do anything about it?
Thank you very much. Good point. So we have an issue, but if nobody's talking about it, if nobody's aware of it, the issue is a norm and not an issue. It becomes an issue when somebody brings up, okay, this is an issue because, and so on. All right. What else? What else clicks for you? So listening to God, listening to your vertical connection gives more clarity of the horizontal one. We could say it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay, what else? What else do you guys see here?
I hope that this is right. As you spend more time with God, you're going to become more and more aware of this world and its systems. And at first, you're going to go through the frustration of it, but that's why he says, do not be, frightened by this. This has happened. And after going through the frustration of it, you kind of become savvy, like Philip. And after the savviness, you then want to start sharing with other people how to be savvy themselves, so that then you break the system.
Oh, that's good, Lord.
Thank you very much. This was a very nice flow of thought.
Sorry, I could not hear her, and I'm right here.
Huh?
Oh,
You do?
I could barely hear her.
sorry.
You want to sit up front?
It's okay.
Or you wanna,
Just-
or
I was mid
if you don't mind, repeating,
I'll try.
I'll feed myself.
essentially that I don't really remember.
It's okay.
Actually, it was okay. Let me kind of
Paraphrase.
give you the abridged version. Yeah, yeah.
So when you listen to God, you got it? Okay.
And the more time that you spend time with God when you're building this relationship, you're starting to be more aware of the systems that are in place in this world. And as you are, you start kind of creating a frustration for it. And then as you spend more time with God, you're actually starting becoming savvy on what to do about these systems. And then you which is where you're at. Then when you transcend that spot, that's when you want to share what you know about everything you've learned. And you want to break the system by helping those who are still unaware of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, this is so cool, what you just shared, because here's what happens. If you have proper vertical connection, the vertical connection is going to prompt you to act or think in a certain way. And Solomon is aware that first thing that happens in a person that connects to God is the sense of justice wakes up. A lot of times we witness different acts of injustice, and we're just indifferent. You guys remember Kids in Cages from 2021? Yeah. That was horrible. We were literally at a time getting ready to take a truckload of stuff and drive to the border with Texas and Mexico and take all of that, take stuff over there. That was just about the time when the things kind of calmed down, when they started treating them properly. But that lasted about a month, if you remember. Okay, the hype lasted for about a month, while it was politically usable. After you couldn't politicize it anymore, people forgot about it. But all of us felt bad about those kids in cages, right? I remember that was like 4th of July, 2021, and I posted a photo on Facebook with, Happy Independence Day with a picture of that kid in a cage. And I was getting a lot of backlash for it because there were several people who found it offensive that I did that.
Well, it is offensive. We shouldn't have children in cages.
That's not what they got offended of.
Our country's not like that.
The what?
What do they say? I'm scared.
It's not our fault. We fought for our freedom. Frankly, I don't remember anymore. I just remember I was bashed for kind of combining those two in one. Like, we should remember our independence as a country and this, blah, blah. I could probably look up the comments that I was getting at the time. But let me ask you something, and this is an embarrassing question. What did you do about those kids in cages?
Nothing essentially. It was just like make a post, comment how horrible it was.
I think I just prayed about it.
Yeah.
I feel really bad that we didn't go. It was just
COVID, it was complicated, it was like hard to wrap things now, and now I'm making excuses, you know, for why we didn't go. But we literally had that flatbed trailer, built up sides, and we had stuff ready to load it over there and to kind of hook it up and to just take that stuff over there.
So I have a question.
Yes?
As a Christian, you see injustice all over the world. If it's in Istanbul, if it's in Syria, if it's in Israel, or Palestine, wherever, whatever. As a Christian, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to go out of your way and do stuff? And I get it to a certain extent. There's only we have limitations, right? We all have jobs. We have limited funding. We can't just take everything, quit our job, stop everything, stop paying our mortgage, and go help, right? So at what extent do you do it? And another excuse is, oh, you can't help them because they're far away, but you don't help your own people in Colorado because other things.
Very much. We have a lot of, especially lately, we have a lot of Venezuelan refugees in Colorado, literally every week. Not every week they're at the church asking for help.
I've literally tried to help so many homeless people. Me and my mom even, there was one time there was a kid that was on drugs. My mom took him in his house. He slept in her couch for like a month. Spent $1,000 on clothes, did all that stuff for him, helped him. Lazy piece of shit, didn't do shit. On the side of the highway, lady's asking for food, and I give her your number. And I'm like, hey, there's food bank, here you go. Still the same sign, asking for food, but doesn't go to the food bank.
So the question really is not how far as a Christian should you extend your
Help, but how do you filter out and help the right people?
But then you're judging.
Exactly. Then you're putting yourself in God's shoes, deciding who deserves and who doesn't deserve. Very good questions.
I saw this one woman recently. It was actually, if you guys follow Mr. Beast on YouTube, he has a philanthropy YouTube channel where he does a lot of work all around the world. And he uses his platform to be able to create a lot of traction to be able to do this. This lady, she wasn't even contacted with him at first, left everything, and went back to her town in Kenya and started rescuing a bunch of kids from her town because they were just out there not being able to feed themselves. And through social media, she was able to get donations to get some food over there. Finally, she asked, with one of the videos, she asked Mr. Beast if he could help out, and he was able to bring wells and food and electricity to the area and more awareness to that space. But I was more so thinking about the woman who decided, I'm going to give up everything. And there are times that my car doesn't start up. There are times that we don't know where the food is going to come. There are times the uncertainty is so intense. And that's the fear. We are not acting anymore on faith because we are afraid of the unknown. Here we have the consistency of if I work, I'm gonna get paid, which means I get food. And you rinse and repeat that. But over there, that uncertainty of not knowing where your next meal is going to come, if you're going to be safe, and if the risk is worth it in the end. And then just having to constantly live blindfolded.
So essentially the whole idea is way more complex than just black and white. And just straight up, well, we should do this or we should do that. Or why I didn't do this or why I didn't do that. But again, the foundation for it is super simple. And the foundation is this. You either see it or you don't. And that's what Solomon says over here. He says the tightest your vertical connection is going to be reflected more in the way you see it. you might not get alarmed about it. You might not get worked up by it. You don't get angry. You don't get emotional about it because it is what it is, but you see it. You witness it, and you're asking the question, what am I supposed to do? And that is a step one. Now, the following verses actually answer this question. And as we go through this, I believe you guys are going to see that the answer is also as simple to understand, but it takes quite a bit of work to incorporate it. So, who would please be so kind to read the following slide? The delusion. Somebody read from 10 to 14.
He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This is also vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them. And what advantage has their owner but to see them with his eyes? Sweet is the sleep of a laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. There is a grievous evil that I have seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owners to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is father of a son, but he has nothing in his hand.
Thank you very much. Now, over here again, it seems
as if Solomon is shifting gears. Here's the thing. So, maybe one thing, I stated that like when we started reading the Ecclesiastes, but I think I should restate that every single time we do this. If you kind of read this at face value, it seems like it's a bunch of separate things just kind of tossed together. You know? But the reason we have that impression is because we read it in English through our Greek, technically analytical mind. Hebrew mind is different. Like when this was written, the whole idea, the way of thinking was different. Like, this is a simple example. For example, I ask you guys, what is this?
Battery pack?
Huh?
Battery pack?
Battery pack. How do you know?
Because it's connected to the iPad.
Okay, so it seems that iPad and this thing is connected to it, and it kind of makes sense. Okay, this is a battery pack. It has like a little solar panel over here, so you could assume that's probably for charging. Some lights over here. So yeah, this is a battery pack. Without even touching it, without even coming close to it, you guys figure out it's, and then on top of it, in the course of your lifetime, you've handled and seen numerous different battery packs, so this was like a no-brainer. It was super easy. But if a Greek, ancient Greek, saw this battery pack for the first time in his life, you know what he would do? Huh? Eat it. You guys give them way little credit. Like seriously, like I'm not talking about cavemen. What's this? Blah, blah.
They'd all be like in a little circle, like, oh, what does this do? And try to like turn it on and break it apart, try to put it back together, discover it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Bang bang.
They'd probably look at these lights and be like, the sky's burning.
And now, if Old Testament
Hebrew ran into this battery pack, what do you think he would do? Yeah. They were not that religious.
They were not?
No.
I thought they were hardcore religious.
No, you had some factions of it, elite, like Pharisees and teachers and so on, who were, but like 90% of people, like the common mortals, they were not really that stuck to it at all.
Maybe they just won't even care of it. They think it'd be something weird and just move on with life.
What they would do, and the story that I'm bringing to you is the story that I picked up in the seminary from a rabbi that we had as a guest teacher for like a month. Huh? Yeah, and he was a really.
Yeah, because they know so much stuff about the ancient world.
that guy knew book of Isaiah by heart. It was crazy. You tell him the chapter and the verse, and he's like, and he quotes it. But it was crazy, huh?
I met someone like that.
Yeah.
He only spoke in like Spanish or something.
Well, you know, this is the guy in Serbia.
Oh,
He's,
this is
yeah,
the guy in-
yeah, from like way back. But anyways, he said like,
So a Greek guy, he would analyze it. He would take it apart. He would see all of the little bits and pieces. He would try to put it together. He would try to make it. And he was joking. And a Hebrew guy, he would probably first just try to sell it, you know. But essentially, what he would try to do, he would try to see what kind of a relationship he can create with it. How can he use it? What would be purposeful for? What would be a beneficial for me, and what would be beneficial for this thing for me to own it? So the way of approaching things is different. When our Greek mind reads these verses over here, we try to analyze them. And that's what we've been pretty much doing. We just analyze them, try to understand verse by verse, and then passage by passage what they mean. For a Hebrew, he's going to take it, he's going to read it all, and then see how this makes sense as a whole. They will make sense of it all together, not by dissecting it, by holding it together as one piece. That's why I'm saying again, I'm presenting this in a Greek mentality, and that's why we get here. And that's why you have a sense that now suddenly he's switching from talking about injustice, he's switching to talking about money. And like, okay, cool, another lesson, let's see. But no, the verses that we just read about the horizontal delusion, at least as I titled it, is strongly tied to the previous passage that we just discussed. What connection do you see?
I'm saying that the system is using money and work to take advantage of people.
that's what we saw in the first. What about the second one?
What's the
How does
second
that connect to the second one?
Wait, how does 8 connect
So,
to like
okay,
10
so-
and 12?
How do verses 8 to 10, 8 and 9 actually,
Oh,
relate to 10 to 15?
I'm thinking like how, for me, I would maybe translate it like this. How funny is it that the poor man is having a really wonderful time, but the rich guy's having a terrible time, and he's the one who created the system.
Okay. That
Is an interesting way to see it. I wouldn't say I see it that way. I actually see it quite differently. But, okay, in a sense, seems like he's saying the less you have, better off you are. That's the impression that he leaves. Okay.
I was saying that again, it seems like he's talking about two extremes about like the super poor person is being oppressed and it's not fun being that. But also them being on this other extreme of being so wealthy that you're consumed by that, you're also not living a good and happy life. But it says here, but the person who sleeps well, if they work hard, whether they have a little bit or a lot, it's just more about the working, about like it's not one extreme or the other.
all right. Okay. So it's not that much about how much you have, but how you live with what you have.
I forgot where he said it was in another passage. It was something about it was about the meaningfulness of the work itself, and less about what you have. It's that almost like God created you to work or something like that.
We're going to see what you're mentioning in the following chapter.
Following passages we're going to read. But yeah, that's why I said this seems repetitive. As if he is just he forgot, he already wrote about it, so he's writing about this again. Or he's trying to reiterate this idea that money is bad. You know, you should not have the money. But that's not what he's talking about. So the horizontal system is described as people being oppressed, people in power oppressing the ones who have less power for the purpose of personal gain. And then over here in the following segment, he says, okay, this is the system and how bad the system is, but it is the system. And this is how you look like should you choose to be part of the system. So,
Almost like no winning with it, like if you take part in it.
It's like a lose-lose situation. Okay.
if you have little, you're going to be oppressed. If you have a lot, you're going to be eaten by everything you've got. Right? That's how it seems like it. Now, the problem that we have is that system is telling us you have to make more. You have to work harder in order to create more. Why? Because that's how system survives. If you stop making, the system has no use of you. You know? If you start giving away, the system has no use of you. You have to make it and you have to keep it. That is the American dream, right? Make yourself, build your empire.
It's almost like, it reminds me of kind of like what Philip said of like, you're either, in a way, you either like become the oppressor or just be part, like run along with what the oppressor is doing, or you become the oppressed. Because like the tax system, like we all hate the tax system for various reasons. Then like Philip's comment was like, well, you just should learn how to work with it. It's like you're agreeing to, in a way, or you either become the one who just gets, taken over by the tax system. It's like you again, you just can't win.
Here's the thing. Everything that you manage not to pay taxes, somebody else will. So technically, you are the oppressor. You had your hand up, I think.
I was saying, when you're talking about the system that's trying to tell you just to work, it's not even just taking your time, it's taking your identity. Because when you work and you do something for so long, you identify as that. So then you lose your identity in God, you lose identity in who you are. So that's
Your
why they want to
community.
do that.
I like that.
Very good point. Thank you very much. Essentially, what we see over here, and Jesus actually piggybacks on these verses. You remember in Matthew chapter 6 when he says, you can't serve both God and money. And he was straight up. You will either love one and hate the other. And he's making a very distinct line in between. You will either serve God or you will serve money. You can't serve both at the same time. The reason to that is described over here. If you are the oppressed, you will be paying your dues more than you should. If you are the oppressor, you will end up, as verse 12 says, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. So, the whole delusion, the horizontal delusion is this. You have two choices, and both of them suck. But that's all you've got. Right? It is what it is. You know? So you try to find a sweet spot, a balance in between these two, where you're not going to be ripped off by the system, but you're not going to feel super bad about ripping off whoever. Like, for example, several of you have businesses. Do you overcharge? Maybe.
If I don't, I get creepers.
So,
You charge to get a certain clientele.
oh, you see, so we have all of these developed systems. Yeah, like,
And it's also like debatable. Is it really overcharging?
Yeah.
For what she's providing? She might not be overcharging. She could be undercharging.
Yeah, that's true. That puts like the value of like what you're offering.
Some people will think she's overcharging. Others will be like, oh girl, that's cheap.
That's true. That's true.
So it depends on the person too.
But
Depends who the client
the reason people think people overcharge is because there's discrepancy in the work that you're given and the value that you're thinking that you're getting. Because, for example, let's say she does $80 an hour, but it took her $20,000 worth of school to figure out how to do what she's doing. Or same with me, I charge whatever $2,000 a car, but it took me 5 years and $50,000 of material wasted to figure out how to do this the right way.
Right.
So
But like on the other hand, and since you brought it up,
Yeah.
we can continue. You hire a guy and you pay him $50
an hour. $50 an hour is a really good hourly wage. I mean, like really good. So he does a job in 8 hours. 8 times 5, where does that take us? 4, huh? To a lot. It takes you to $400, right? To a lot. You make $400 a day. My goodness, I would be doing $400 a day. But you pocketed $1,600. Now you have to pay all of your like dues on that, but you didn't lift a finger.
Why is that wrong?
Exactly. Exactly. That is exactly, that's the whole point of the system. That's why Solomon said, don't get upset with the system. The system simply functions this way. You know, somebody is going to come and say, wait, you pocketed $1,600, you didn't do one thing but make a phone call, and this guy was slaving off 8 hours, like ripping the whole day, and he gets $400, and he's jumping happy, and he's knocking on your door to come back and do it again.
But no, but here's the sorry, I say this
Everyone's
because this hits
happy.
home. You spend thousands of dollars in marketing. You spend thousands of dollars on redoing websites 3, 4, 5 times.
All of that stuff is completely justifying what you're doing. There is no question about it. I'm not questioning your morals or your ethics, not at all.
That's what I said, like it's not bad either way.
The system seems perfectly fine, but from a very basic foundational perspective, that's a ripoff.
Yeah.
You know? From
But-
go ahead.
But that's what someone without understanding.
That
This-
what?
But that's what someone without understanding the system.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, what was that? He hit his head?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
But that happens often.
that explains.
Yeah.
Now, all of us are part of the system because of our choosing. As I said, you can go and live in the woods. Nobody cares. But none of us want to do that. You do? How come you didn't do it yet?
I don't know how to live off the land.
Ta-da! But you know how to live off the system.
Yeah.
See?
Been doing it my whole life.
So, what happens here is system is not the
Problem. The delusion that we deal with is that we feel like when we read this, that we have two bad choices to deal with. But here's the thing, neither of these choices is bad. Either of these choices is just going to make you live off the system or within the system. If you really want to make the third choice, then you have to sever yourself from the system, and none of us are going to do that. Because we can't imagine a life outside of it.
You gotta make enough money to walk away.
But you're still within the system because you're using the tools of the system. Even if you made $10 million and have it pocketed, and you have real estate, and you have like all of these things that could be labeled as financial security or financial independence, they are still part of the system. Because here's the thing, overnight money can devalue. Just imagine if petrodollar falls apart and the rest of the world starts using gold standard back for the oil trade, dollar goes down the toilet, and those 10 million that you have in your savings account suddenly drops to a value of maybe like 200,000. You know, because it's just paper. It's just the tools of the system. The real independence is not in being financially independent within the system, but being independent outside of the system. That's another topic. That's something else. That is really not part of what Solomon is talking about here. Solomon is making a different point here.
Huh?
Give me a minute. No, you can go back.
Okay.
So the point that Solomon is making over here is this. You will be hurting no matter what, should you choose to live in a horizontal way of living. And the moment your vertical connection for the beginning of the chapter is established and strong, you can hear God. You understand His instructions. It makes sense what God is telling you. You will start feeling this pain, no matter what side of the fence you are on. Whether you are the oppressor or the oppressed, or close in between, the pain that he describes over here is unavoidable. And then he proposes the solution. Then he proposes, and this is what we're going to read right now. Let's go to the next one. Oh, not yet. Sorry. We got no. You're right. No. I mean, not yet the solution. Okay, we got to speed up. We are okay. Verses 15 to 17. Come on.
I'll read it.
Please.
Naked a man comes from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. This too is a grievous evil. As a man comes, so he departs. And what does he gain since he toils for the wind? All his days he eats in darkness, with great frustration, affliction, and anger.
Thank you very much. Okay, sorry. We should have. I kind of jumped ahead.
So, after the delusion, the reality follows. And over here, Solomon explains, because here's the thing. All we know, and look at you guys. Look at yourself, look at us over here. All we know is the system. The only time that we had the opportunity to be outside the system is Glendale Lake for a few days, go camping. Live off the land. Even then we didn't live off the land. We lived off of hot dogs and pancakes. And propane bottles.
Well, I remember what I was going to say earlier, like if you live your entire life with a system, with the intent of living outside of the system, you've already ingrained all of those principles into your own life. So then going outside of that, you still implement it if you had a chance.
That's another interesting point. Yes. You
might leave the system, but the system is not going to leave you. There's an expression in Serbian, like you can get a Serbian guy out of Serbia, but you can't get Serbia out of Serbian guy. And yeah, I can see that in your dad, like so many times. It's kind of funny, but you're right. That is a very good point to also have in mind. Excuse me. Which makes us essentially not just dependable on the system, but part of it. And the system is part of us. So imagining a life outside of it for us is literally valueless. I mean, recently we talked about that. Like the apocalypse. You know, if it happens, if the poles shift and the whole world goes to crap and everything is destroyed, then we have to start from the scrap. That would suck, because we have no idea how, and we don't want that kind of a life. This is the life we want, because this is the life we know. This is the life we feel comfortable in. But the reality of the horizontal life is what Solomon described over here. And again, when the book of Job was being written, it was piggybacking on these verses as well, where he says, naked I came to this world, naked I'm going to go back. The bottom line is, this breath that you have of a life over here, you work like you're going to live forever. You know? You act as if tomorrow is guaranteed. And that's why you feel the pain. Because the reality is that nothing except this breath is guaranteed. And the only reason this breath is guaranteed is because it has already passed. Absolutely nothing else.
Anxiety is thinking about the future. Depression is
right here, right now. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Huh? What did he say?
So what if I'm stressed now?
The,
So what if I'm stressed now?
oh, if you're stressed now. Well, here's the thing. You have to be stressed about something if you're stressed now. And you're most likely stressed not about now, but either about something that happened or something that might happen. Because right now, you're sitting in that nice chair, you just ate a whole bunch of pastry, you're half sleepy, you're in a pleasant and nice environment, it's nice and warm, everything is fine. What makes you stressed?
You questioning my stress.
I can't argue. I can't argue with this one. Like this was like, okay. This was a stressful moment for both of us. It was like, I was caught off guard on this one. So the idea is, delusion is that we think that there is a solution. The reality is there is no solution to the horizontal problem of pain. Because everything we do right now will soon disappear. Gone with the wind. I mentioned you that movie, Dead Poets Society. Any, did anyone watch it before? Oh, really?
I don't know where you watched it. At home. I think it was on Amazon Prime. We paid for it. It wasn't for free, but
It's
$3.
$3.
$3,
like
yeah.
that, yeah.
Privilege to watch.
Probably.
I'm sure you can find it on the internet for free.
The oppression. Yeah. It's like, no, but one of the point of the movie is this professor is taking a bunch of high schoolers to a wall.
All the accomplished students of this school, and the school is like hundreds of years old, and he says, look at these guys. Look at the hairstyles, look at the faces, like you look just like them. They're like, yeah, for reals. He said, you know what, guess what? All of them are food for worms right now. Soon you're going to be on this wall. And that's where that idea seize the day comes from. Carpe diem, yeah.
I've learned not to stress. Going back to what Sean was saying, you stressing is not going to help or benefit as long as you're doing your best. You try your best. That's all you can do. Anything outside of that is outside of your ability to change things. And God says, like you said, you're more precious than the birds and all this other stuff. And why am I not going to give you? You know, so.
That's what we're going to read in the solution.
I like it because it's mentioned it twice where it's like, and he is his father of a son, but he has nothing in his hand. And then all the toil may carry away, nothing carries away in his hand pretty much. Like all this toil, all this work, we go through life, and in the end we're like pictures on the wall. You may leave a legacy, but like all that hard work means absolutely nothing in the end. But in that horizontal aspect, because you die today, your employer will find someone tomorrow to replace you, or they'll call you into work. But that vertical aspect is that toil you put into it is working your way, storing your treasures in heaven.
Yep.
Personally, I think this is the reason why I've just started taking things a lot more easy. Because if there's no reason for me to do things in a rush. There's no reason for me to do things to the point that I'm crippling my body. And it's like, just do what I can in the moment. And then that's gonna be a lot more healthier for me in the long run. And eventually things will get done.
The reality is actually very liberating when you think about it. Because the reality sets you free from the system. You become aware that no matter how hard you do, you're just treading water. That was distracting. And the solution is actually brilliant and amazing. The solution to the horizontal life, the horizontal utopia. Somebody read 18 to 20.
Oh, I can read it. It's just not the same.
Go ahead.
Whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
it goes. Even so, I have noticed one thing. At last, that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it. To enjoy your work and accept your lot in life. This is indeed a gift from God. God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past.
Pretty cool.
Actually, pretty good translation compared to the ESV, better than the beginning of the passage that we read. How do you like the solution?
You know what I like is that it kind of makes me think that like it's okay to not feel like I have to control so much in life, or that I'm so responsible to solving so many problems and feeling so overwhelmed by it all. It's like, dude, it's out of your control. This world is the way that it is, and your only job in it is to just enjoy the gift that God has given you of today. Because you're like, to think that I can solve all of the world's problems, to think that I can control things, is to almost put myself in a position of playing God. And I think that's what sometimes we always try to do, but we can't do that.
Can I ask what
Thank you.
translation you had?
This one was the New Living Translation.
Okay.
Thank you very much. What about the rest of you? How do you like the solution? And another question.
How do you find this solution to be viable?
Sorry, I was just thinking that it's really peaceful.
Okay.
It's like that the last verse, God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, it's quite,
sounds really nice.
yeah, it's really quite lovely.
But is it realistic? That's why I titled it as utopia. Can you do, this is the question. Let me rephrase the question. When you
Read, let me read the ESV translation. Behold, what I have seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun the few days of his life that God has given him, for this is his lot. Everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil. This is the gift of God. For he will not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. This is my question for you. And this is the question that I want to leave you with to contemplate on this week. Can you make this utopia real in your life this coming week?
It pretty much says find joy in what you do in your works, right? So find joy in going to the work, but what it's changing your attitude in that. So
Okay. Lovely. Yes. Matilda.
Yeah, I said yes because lately that's what I've been trying to do because work has been getting a little difficult with the holidays and people are like they're at their worst for some odd reason.
The holidays are coming closer. People are becoming more and more jerks.
In the aspect of like I realized a lot of people are not very self-aware of what they do. Like you know when people shop and they're like, oh, I don't want this anymore, instead of putting it back or giving it to someone who knows where to put it, like they just
Dump it.
throw it anywhere.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's
I know, I was like, oh.
Literally,
I was like,
everybody
something
here was like you called out the whole room.
because then like if I'm looking, because
I give it back to checkout. Is that
yes,
appropriate? Okay.
because we have like the ship orders, so we have to go find the things that people order online, and if it's not where it's supposed to be, we kind of have to run around the whole entire store looking for it, and if we cannot find it
back to the point.
Yes, I've been kind of seeing that as like, oh, I found a little treasure today. Like, oh, this is not where it's supposed to be. Okay, like I'll hold on to it for like okay. And then like I look at it and I'm like, I wonder like why they wanted this. Like, I wonder if like they thought of like their child or their grandma or like somebody. And I'm like, well, maybe they didn't want it anymore. That's okay. So, yeah. You know, when I see things that are misplaced, I always say, decisions were made. Because like, per se, we were at Costco yesterday and we saw decorative like Christmas pillows right next to the soap. And I was like, oh, they put those back and decided soap instead.
Yeah. You had to,
Decision
call the shots and like.
Clean soap.
Hygiene is more important than coziness. We can rest on whole concrete, but we're going to be clean. This was so funny. Like that. You guys, but you guys get the point with the question. Can you make this? Because here's the thing. He wouldn't be saying this if this is something that is not doable. He is looking at the world and he sees two groups of people. One group of people who is freaking out in the horizontal realm, and the other group of people who is actually rooted vertically, and they enjoy every moment of their life. No matter if they are oppressed, no matter if they're oppressors, no matter if they're rich, no matter if they're poor. The enjoyment does not come from the system. The joy of life comes from this vertical connection. That's his point.
Is this like the second time you said like what to find joy in, like eat and drink and?
Yeah. That's why I said it's.
Like at the beginning, it's like everything's vanity. This is dark. Like this is useless. This is like it's kind of depressive at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then you have done these things. Be joyful in what you have accomplished in life.
But as I said, it sounds repetitive, but it's a different context over there. Over here, he's making a different point. Over there, he was just trying to point out you have no control over the world. So at least enjoying what you have control over, and that is your life. And over here, he's explaining things in a different manner. Over here, he says, you see the pain because of your connection. You see the injustice. You see that it's a lose-lose, no matter what side you are on in this world, after you're connected to God. And God gives you clarity of silliness of trying to be accomplished in the system, in this world.
Yeah, trying to like beat the system.
Yeah. No. Focus on joy in this moment, and then when the next moment comes, you focused on joy then. And so on. So Laura had a hand, Philip had a hand, everybody had a hand up. So, oh, the kitty again. Oh. Oh, oh, look at that. That's a fat black cat. This was the moment of joy. Did you guys see this? Yeah. This cat actually made the whole point of everything we talked about right now.
Hey, did you ask the cat what it identifies as? What if it identifies as a unicorn?
We can send Duke to ask her. They'll be like, that would be a joy for Duke, and Cat would be that excited. Anyways, who had a hand up and wanted to share something? Let's start
with the ladies and then be a gentleman.
So I was thinking that it was really poetic that it started that way and it ended that way. It's just brought everything full circle. And when Sean started talking about his thing, I was just like, it's so cool because like the word in essence is regardless of everything, have joy in your life. So the word would be regardless.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not to be a downer.
What an introduction.
I think I did really like how like the solution I roses, I guess. But it feels often at times like really hard to grasp when, like it's just not the reality. Like you want the gift of God. Like it says it's a gift, meaning like that. Maybe not all of us have received the gift, or like, I don't know. It's just, I think like in the moment I feel really good about it, but then I think about my week and I'm like, I want to have joy about what's going on. I want to find peace in like the moment, but then the reality is that sometimes it's harder. And I'm like, do I need to pray more? Do I need to like read my Bible more? Like, and I know, and I don't mean by like work stuff, but like I just mean like it's hard to find that connection sometimes when you just don't feel like it's just. I've had it before and I know what it feels like, and it feels like I don't have it right now and I don't know how to get back to it.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, we'll get back to that.
I was gonna say that what I liked, there's a couple of things that I really enjoyed. So for example, when it says it's good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work, I like that he mentions that specifically, because if you think about it, you can't enjoy eating or drinking or like your work unless you're actively doing it. Like you don't think about eating food or the food I ate, like, oh yeah, you kind of think I have nice feelings, this is what I want to eat, or I remember eating this. But when you're actually doing it, it's a whole different experience. So I like that. That kind of makes me think, okay, being more present, right? Another thing that I enjoyed that it said was, it mentions to accept our lot in life, and then later he says so that you don't have time to brood over the past. So like learning to accept the things that come, and I don't think that he's just meaning like the good things, because like to brood over your past implies a lot of really crappy things have happened, because we only brood about the bad things that have happened to us. You don't brood about the happy times. You brood about the, excuse my language, but the shitty times. And so the fact that he's like, he keeps you so busy, it's like, I think he's saying, yeah, you're gonna have those moments where you are, like Jenny's saying, like it's hard to enjoy that moment or to feel happy. But even if you have that moment of like presently enjoying your food, or like, oh, you saw your husband and you were happy to see him in that moment. Maybe your whole day wasn't amazing, but those little moments, it's better to have even those moments and to recognize those moments and to never even have them at all. Because I think when you're just horizontally living, there's people that go their entire lives just complaining about everything and not enjoying the beautiful gifts that we do get to have. So I think it's like Solomon is very aware that we're not going to live in this utopian, idealistic world where we never feel pain. But he's like, you're going to have that, but you're also going to have all these other beautiful moments. So when you have them, really enjoy them.
And they will actually help you
kind of overcome and continue on.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would say happiness is a choice, it's not a feeling. Because if you allow happiness to be a feeling, then it's gonna always stray away from you when bad things happen. So I think biggest thing is like learn how to play in the mud, and I keep using that reference because it's like, hey, life can go to shit and everything can be bad, and find happiness in the small things. It's a beautiful day today. I'm not sick. I'm fine. Everything's okay. Maybe not everything is the way it should be, but I'm not taking control of my life. I'm letting God control it, and having that horizontal relationship with God. Then you find happiness in your work, and then you find happiness in work, and then I think once you hit that, that's when you try to find ways to bring other people to God. So let's say if you're in Target and you're working there, maybe you find a conversation and talk to someone about God, or maybe, so for example, something that I've noticed has been happening is in my work, everyone that I've been working with is really close to God. And I used to, like a couple of years ago, I wanted a business partner, but he wanted me to work on Saturdays. He's like, lazy, you need to work on Sabbath, like I don't care. I was like, hell no, that's my business, I do whatever the hell I want. So, like now, I have 3 guys they go to church on Sundays, but that's good. Still, it doesn't have to be Sabbath, it's their Sabbath. And I think as long as they're getting that horizontal connection with God, so starting to like build that team of, because I never wanted to allow God to be something negotiable in my life, including my business. So like I've told people, hey, sorry, you can't work Saturday. wait, what if you're not here? I'm like, sorry, please don't come in. It's my shop. So I think having that connection with God and slowly starting to see people that do love God, that also are good hard workers, come in and work with me. So.
And yeah, you can build your reality. That is the fact as well, you know.
You can build your reality around you, but the bottom line is it starts with the choice that you're making before the reality is being built. No matter what comes my way, I choose to be happy. And I will find happiness in where I'm at right now. I might not find a meaning in pain that I'm dealing with right now, and I might not understand the circumstances I am right now, but here's the thing. Choose to feel good about it, because here's the thing. I can't control this, but I know who can. And that's where my connection to life is. Not here, but here. So just kind of, because Philip already kind of halfway, yeah, you're right, yeah, like Spiritus Sanctus, like kind of Philip halfway answered Jenny's question. You know, the whole point is that you, the only thing you can control in your life, what's happening in your life is what's happening on the inside. You can't control the outside. You can't control other people, circumstances, and so on. Nobody wants to cooperate. That's the bottom line. Nobody cares. Everybody wants to do their own thing. So if something outside is causing you miserable, you are miserable because that is your choice. You choose for that external thing to make you miserable. So if you can choose for that external thing to make you miserable, in the same way you can choose not to be miserable. We are just taught to react to external world instead of to being proactive to it. We are said that laws of action and reaction are inevitabilities. They're not. They might be in a physical sense, you know, but in the way that you interact with the world, you choose the reaction. Every single reaction you choose. And you have the power and the ability to do that. When Jesus, actually no, Paul writes about it. He says the unsurmountable peace that overcomes this world is going to come upon you. And I was always wondering, like, what kind of a peace is that? I remember, like, back decades ago, I'm reading this, and war is raging in my country. My dad just came back, and people are coming back in black bags, and you just don't know if he's going to get, you know, I remember that, like we were playing in the streets, and the moment you hear the sound of a military truck motor around the corner, everybody's just like, you know, you're just waiting to see if they're going to stop in front of your home. And I'm reading about this peace that he's talking about. He's like the peace that overcomes your anything that you can even comprehend. Like, how is that even possible? But now it makes sense. You know, that peace is a choice that I make with God. That peace is a choice that you make before anything happens in your life. Right now, you had a crappy week. Maybe just a week had a crappy you. You know? Because here's again, you understand the point, you know? The circumstances don't define you unless you allow them to. And Josh and I had this discussion while we were setting things up and getting ready. If circumstances can make you feel good or bad, that means that you can be easily manipulated and controlled by the circumstances. You know? If I can make you laugh, and then a minute after that I can make you cry, that means that I have the ability to control your mood. That does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. Yeah, I crack a joke, everybody laughs. I tell you a sob story, everybody cries. But the bottom line is, if this happens without you noticing it, and you start responding to external circumstances in a genuine, uncontrolled manner, you're easily manipulated by anything, you know? Anyways, I don't want us to lose kind of context of this. Laura wanted to say something, and then I would like us to wrap it up.
I was just gonna say that I think it's okay to celebrate every emotion. That if you cry, be angry.
Talk louder, please. So,
What?
That's okay.
Sorry, I can't hear.
That's okay. I was just saying that I think every emotion should be celebrated. That if you want to cry, cry. And if you want to be angry, and if you want to laugh, laugh. Let yourself be present in those emotions, having peace that God is going to figure it out and God has everything in control. And that, yes, we do have an option to be happy and to choose how we're going to have a perspective on the situation. But there's, like Evelyn said, bad things are still going to happen. But to celebrate the things, the good things when they do come.
Yeah. And when bad things, if you
Call them bad. They might be bad from your perspective, but not from your perspective, depending on what you consider bad. When these things do happen, see them as an opportunity to grow.
Have you seen someone like his whole life go to shit and still be happy? It's freaky. No, I'm serious. It's really weird because you're like, shit, this guy has some type of control that, like, that does not phase him. He's not allowing the external forces to mess with him.
I remember that from the 90s. People who were the refugees coming from Bosnia, coming from Croatia, they would literally leave mansions and fields and properties and cars, and they would leave everything they worked for all of their life. And they come in with whatever they managed to fit in the trunk of their car, shove the kids in the back, and just hope that nobody's going to shoot at them while they cross the border. And then some of them literally would die in a matter of months. Get a quick cancer or just was sick or whatever. Some people just couldn't part themselves. Some people would be like that. And it's like, and for me, you know, church was a gathering place. And I was a teenager. I come to church, and suddenly church is filled up with a whole bunch of people that we never saw before. Well, they're the refugees, you know, they came. And they share testimonies. And I remember, like, one of the coolest stories is one guy who actually, the car exploded because of the shells that rocketed their house. So they managed to get on a tractor. And whatever they could just kind of pack on a tractor. And that tractor it has no shell. It has no, you just sit and drive, and two kids and a wife on a tractor. And somebody shoots at the tractor and pierces the tire. They literally, they said they used the chewing gum and a prayer. To put it, they pumped the tire up. The tire held like some 400 kilometers before they get to Serbia. I mean, it's like, you'll hear that kind of stories, but here's the thing. People show up at the church, sharing their testimonies, and you expect them to be broken, to be destroyed, to be like annihilated. And you say, they resonate with peace. And you're like, I want that. Like, I so desperately want that.
I feel like, but sometimes that's just denial of emotion. People going through different stages of grief. Like some people, you'll think that they're experiencing pain, like a peace, but really it's like they're in the denial part of their grief, and they haven't really, like, the shock hasn't set in of what's happened. So it's like, I think it really does depend on where they are. If they're like at the acceptance phase, and then it's like all this peace, then they've survived, they've made it. But like, to just say that, like that, like when you were saying you just see someone that lost everything and they're just so at peace, it's like, did they accept, have they gone through the full range of everything? Because we're we're humans. We do have, God given us the full range of all the emotions to experience, and like, sometimes you're not even at the broken phase yet. You're just at the, like, it hasn't happened. Like, you don't believe it's happened. You're just,
the defense systems are still kind of
kicking in, and they can last years. Like, people can take different periods of time to go through the different stages.
When you notice, instead of
Reaction, when you notice that this is the lifestyle, then you know that it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they kind of, you hear them speaking and then talking about all the phases
Yeah.
they've been through, and then they're on the peace side, then it's like, holy
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I understand what you've gone
Yeah.
through. Not
Yeah.
like, oh, no, I think we'll do. Like,
Good
that's
point.
not.
Thanks for deepening that up.
Also,
Yeah.
I did want to share just one other thing, like, because we were talking about this, like, how. So there is a psychologist that I saw, and she painted this very beautiful picture where she talks about how she works with a lot of people that go through really horrific things, right? Or they lose family members, or just really horrible things. So she was saying that with a lot of them, she's painted this picture of, like, even though there is this, like, black, like, hole, like, think of this, like, black mass in your life. That's, like, where the sad and pain and all of that is, right? Because of whatever has happened. She's like, what I try to remind them is you can still have that, but despite of this, you can still build these beautiful, colorful rings outside of that. And that's the other rest of the life, that even when sometimes you find yourself in this dark, you can still come out to all these other beautiful experiences, beautiful times, beautiful moments that you can allow yourself to have and still have that black mass in the middle. Because sometimes for some people, it's like, you know, it was their child that passed away and they don't want to leave their child behind. They don't, the memories, you know, it's like they feel like they're betraying their kid or the love of their kid, right? So she's saying you don't have to necessarily, it's not like that pain disappears, but you can still have a beautiful life despite that pain. And I feel like that's what God does for us. Even though there is a lot of human, like, horizontal pain that we live, he still provides this vertical, like, line where we can still live outside of that horizon and have these beautiful moments.
The opportunity is there.
Yeah.
You know, the opportunity is there. It's just a question where people take it or not. Where they're aware and they know that they should take it or not. Yeah. All right. Guys, thank you for sharing. This was a really good talk. Really good
Talk. Let's close it up with a prayer and finish off. If there's anything to finish off, or Josh finished it off. I saw him like half a dozen of times walk into the kitchen. Oh, the puffs? Okay, let's have a prayer then. Who is inclined to close with a prayer? Evelyn.
Dear Heavenly Father, first we'd like to say thank you for this moment in time that we have with each other and that we have with you. That we get to learn more about this world and this horizontal life that we have. And even though, yes, we're living on this world and we're down here and you're up there, thank you so much for the fact that you give us this vertical path to you that we can have along our horizontal lives. We pray that you can help us remember throughout our week that we're not just horizontally living, that we have this opportunity to live vertically with you every day of our lives and every moment. I pray that you help us remember that despite what happens in our life, we always have the opportunity to come to you, to surrender our lives and to let go of the control that sometimes we so often desperately want to have. Thank you for your love, for your mercies, and a new day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
May the mind